The attack on the diplomatic convoy comes as ASEAN leaders prepare to hold a summit in Labuan Bajo tomorrow. Indonesian President Joko Widodo condemned the incident and once again pushed for dialogue to end the conflict in Myanmar.
Yang ingin saya tegaskan bahwa hal ini tidak akan menyurutkan tekad ASEAN dan Indonesia untuk menyerukan kembali, hentikan kekerasan, stop using force, stop violence, karena rakyat yang akan menjadi korban. Karena kondisi ini tidak akan membuat siapapun menang. Saya mengajak, marilah kita duduk bersama, ciptakan ruang dialog untuk mencari solusi bersama.
Well, let's bring in our correspondent, Chatni Babani. She joins us live from Labuan Bajo in Indonesia. Chatni, we heard there President Widodo saying there that he is still determined to restore peace in Myanmar following that attack. How is he planning to do that and address the ongoing crisis at the ASEAN Summit?
Well, stop using force, stop violence. Certainly some very strong words there coming from President Joko Widodo. Now, in a brief statement earlier, the situation in Myanmar was one that he called very complex, given that it has been ongoing for more than 7 decades. Now, he also said, and he made it very clear, that Indonesia, in its ASEAN chairmanship, will continue to push for the implementation of the 5-point consensus. Now, humanitarian assistance, he said, was tied to one of those points. Now, he made it very clear as well that getting access is certainly a challenge. Nevertheless, as we heard there, he called on parties, he invited parties to the table to create a space to have negotiations and to find solutions together, to have dialogues together, so to speak. Now, he also addressed other key issues in his brief statement, one of those being human trafficking. Now, he said human trafficking is an issue that needed to be eradicated completely, especially online scams. Now, he said this is an issue that was deliberately proposed by Indonesia. The victims were from ASEAN and mostly Indonesian citizens. Now, he also said that a cooperation document will be adopted at the summit, and this cooperation document is going to be dealing with human trafficking due to the misuse of technology. Now, let's take a look at some of the other issues that are expected to be addressed at this summit and the challenges that lie ahead.
ASEAN is one of the most important organizations for its members, and for Indonesia, the grouping has typically been considered the cornerstone of the country's foreign policy.
The first ASEAN Summit was hosted by Indonesia, which came out with the most important document, which is the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia, which makes the regional code of conduct, for Southeast Asia. There is a lot of expectations that, the ideational, the intellectual leadership for ASEAN to move forward, particularly in the areas of political security issues. People tend to look up to Indonesia, and that's where Indonesia has a special expertise.
With 3 pillars as derivatives of Indonesia's chairmanship theme, ASEAN Matters, Epicentrum of Growth, and the third, related to the implementation of the ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific, leaders are set to discuss internal ASEAN matters as well as other key issues within and outside the region.
Kapasitas ASEAN penting untuk diperkuat, dan kita ingin menjadikan ASEAN dapat bekerja lebih efektif sehingga mampu mengatasi tantangan masa depan. Oleh karenanya, kesatuan dan sentralitas ASEAN penting untuk terus dijaga agar ASEAN mampu terus menjadi lokomotif perdamaian dan stabilitas kawasan.
Key issues on the agenda include the eradication of human trafficking, acceleration of negotiations on the text of the Code of Conduct, preparation of a roadmap for Timor-Leste's full membership in ASEAN, and signing of the Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapon-Free Zone Protocol. This in addition to strengthening health architecture, energy security, regional food and financial stability, and digitization of the economy and the tourism sector. Then there's also the issue of Myanmar, where Indonesia has worked hard to push for the implementation of the 5-point consensus. Experts say the road ahead will be challenging.
From the outside, we're seeing a sharpening of great power rivalry between US and China, and potential flashpoints probably in Taiwan, in South China Sea. So there's a pressure for ASEAN to be relevant in that sense. And then internally, for example, the economic and development issues, how ASEAN can stay resilient in the middle of uncertain crisis, like climate, of course, but also the impacts of the Ukraine war.
Everybody said, oh, these are problems. Oh, just wait until Indonesia takes over its chair. So like trying to sweep everything under the carpet until Indonesia comes along and open the carpet, But clearly that is, that is not the case. ASEAN is basically still based on consensus. A lot of hard decisions are still made based on consensus.
Now, the ASEAN post-2025 vision towards ASEAN 2045 is currently being drafted by a high-level task force and is expected to be discussed at the summit as well.